drinking beer at the bar, talking sports? Come on out and join us weekly. Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your podcast for just that. Hanging out, drinking some beer, talking sports. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Ray coming here live at Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, hanging out, drinking some beers, chilling with my boys and the lady Cheeks herself, and we got a great show for you this week. We're going to be talking about the games last week. We got Alabama losing to Michigan, Carolina losing to Illinois, but then obviously you had the quarterfinals as well with Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame all winning their games, so we're going to get into those this week as well. And we have the semifinals coming up, Penn State versus Notre Dame, Texas and Ohio State, and some other stuff we'll be talking about as well. We might even talk a little bit about the NFL wildcard weekend that's coming up this week as well. So we'll jump into those things for you. So listen, we got some great stuff going for you. So why don't you do this and go ahead and follow the show. You can do that through www.guysatthebartalkingsports.com. But even better than that, we got the Facebook group, so you can jump onto that as well. If you just type in Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, you can do that. We have a great camaraderie in that group as well. Great things going on in there, and you might even get a free beer out of it every so often. So check that out. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Where else am I?
MySpace,
TikTok, all the place. MySpace. I don't have MySpace. I'm sorry.
What?
I know, man. It's
when did
back
you
in the
cancel
day,
that?
man. I know. I did cancel it. That was but they don't do well with podcasting because we're trying to build an audience here and there's nobody there. That's the problem. So anyway, Follow us on those things as well. If you really like what you're doing, you want to support the show, support your independent podcasting network, you can do that. And we accept Venmo for any type of beer fees that you want to give us. You can go ahead and do that through Guys at the Bar Talking Sports on Venmo. Just type that in, you'll find it. I think it's all one word if you do that. So anyway, let's jump into the show, shall we? We got a group of folks here that are going to be giving you the best sports analysis that they can. And the first one we all go by nicknames here, and we got the Mountain Mama Jama Jamma, Mountain Man himself. How's it going, brother?
Good. I'm waiting for us to get a new nickname eventually.
What do you want? You want a better nickname?
Be careful what you ask.
Crockpot?
No, I'll think.
Mountain Patch Kid.
I'll think about it.
All kinds of good stuff. And we got
You don't get to determine your nickname.
Yeah, man. What's up with that, brother?
That's not how it works.
We got the Rebel. How's it going, Rebel?
I'm a little congested, but we're gonna get it done tonight.
Yeah. Whenever you're coughing, you just gotta turn your face away from that microphone. And then it'll be very helpful that way. So none of our listeners have to hear that. We also have Cheeks. How you doing, Cheeks? Nice to see you.
Great. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. You got a lot of paperwork over there.
I do. I got a bunch of.
Give us a paper
SEC
pop.
stuff.
Give us a paper pop right by the. All right, there you go. She's got a lot of paperwork over there. I don't know what's going on.
Is that a book?
I just stole that from another podcaster, right? The paper pop. Who's that? Pate. Josh Pate always does the paper pop. Yeah, I don't know what this show's called now, but it used to be called like Pate's Pate State or something like that.
Pate's Bad Takes.
Pate's Bad Takes. There we go. And then we also have Chopper. How's it going, Chopper?
Oh, it's going great.
Nice to see you. Your
Good
team,
to see you too.
Your Auburn Tigers doing good in basketball.
Number 2 in the nation.
They're officially a basketball school. This is like 4 years in a row.
Play the Gamecocks this weekend.
Oh, that'll be fun.
In Columbia.
Oh, nice. And you're going to the game, right?
Oh, well, yeah. I'm
Nice.
trying.
All right, let's jump into this, man. Last week, we're going to go right down the list, okay? Alabama losing to Michigan. You know what? Like, I kind of expected that. And the only reason why I say that Alabama losing to Michigan doesn't really blow me away is because it seems like every year the SEC teams just do crappy in their bowls. Anyone disagree with that statement there?
Well, this year they didn't disappoint. They did what we expected, which is disappointing.
Yeah, it's always disappointing watching SEC in the bowl games, it feels like to me. Every year, last year, the year before that, we're watching these bowl games with the SEC. And Alabama, I mean, obviously they're going in there to win, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't know.
I think what you're seeing, and you're not just seeing it in the SEC, this is everywhere, is they were disappointed. They didn't make the playoff, which the problem is what they ended up doing was justifying them not being there. But it's uninspired. Either you have players sitting out, and the ones that are like Milroe, who is supposed to be, a top first-round draft pick in the draft, which I don't see that, but, just for the sake of the conversation, they go in there and play. They throttle it back. They don't do what they normally do. And then you add a little rust because you haven't played in 3-4 weeks, and, well, you have what you have. So, do I expect that from the SEC? No, not necessarily. I think in years past, the reason you saw the SEC is they had so many players sitting out, but Alabama didn't have that excuse. So, again,
Yeah, I think we originally thought they were going to do the opposite, right? Go in there and throttle them, just to make a point that they should have been there, right? But
I think
I
think last week, if I went back and listened to that episode, I think some people were saying, "Oh yeah, they're going to go and throttle them because they think that they should be there."
I thought they would win just because Michigan's not a good football team.
Yeah,
they beat Ohio State at the end of the season. I mean, maybe they put things together a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah,
But they weren't the same team as the previous year.
Yeah, but Michigan,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
Right, and Michigan had 5 defensive starters not playing that game, which.
So, I mean, I feel like this is a case. This is a good example of. We'll probably rehash this many times for this is overnight. Is how with every passing year, the bowl games become more and more irrelevant. It's a glorified scrimmage. I mean, you see teams out there trying to run a trick play every 6 plays. It's entertaining, but to go into that and think, oh, we're going to see Alabama's best shot, absolutely not. I mean, that's just the world we live in right now.
It's almost like the lower tier bowls are legitimately good games, fun to watch, and the big bowls like the Citrus and Outback, they're terrible. There's nothing inspired there.
Yeah, I really
good bowls.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching some of these lower tier bowls for sure. I mean, the teams that have players that just want to get out there and play, and they're a team, right? They're sitting there. We're going to go in there and try to win this game. You get 2 teams that are playing like that, and then you get Alabama and Michigan. Michigan wanted to win that game, you could tell, but they did have 5. You said 5 defensive starters that did not play.
Correct.
Yeah. So if that's the case, like those guys, they have bigger things to do, which is find another team to play on next year or go to the NFL.
I think they were all seniors, so I think they were going to get drafted.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have depth too. I mean, I'm a little, Nick Saban didn't miss the playoffs too often, but when he did, his teams would play in the Citrus Bowl. They would beat the crap out of whoever they play. They went inspired to play. This team just didn't.
This is a 4-loss Alabama team. I was looking at their schedule today. Going into next year, they opened up at Florida State. Is Florida State going to be better next year?
So 2 things to this. Number 1, I think you can rewind it. There was somebody sitting here that said Alabama would have 4 losses this year.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah.
Number 2.
How many losses are they going to have next year?
But I think to your point about the bowl game, that's a reflection of their coach.
Yeah.
I mean, their coach, I'm not saying he can't coach football, but he doesn't coach it the way Alabama Crimson Tide fans expect them to be coached.
There's a respect.
There's talking heads out there saying that Kalen DeBoer is going to be gone if he doesn't have a good season next year.
That's my point, right? So looking at their schedule next year, they play some good teams.
Well, their schedule should be the same in the SEC.
It is.
It's just a flip on the who.
Minus your non-conference. And I have no idea what their
Non-conference,
schedule
they
is.
play Florida State, Wisconsin, Louisiana Monroe, which got them 1 year.
Yeah.
And
Well, Wisconsin
somebody else.
Wisconsin will be in.
Those are the 3 main ones.
Tuscaloosa.
Wisconsin,
Yeah.
Florida State, and
I mean, Florida State's going to be better next year. Opening up against Florida State, well, at least be able to see whether Alabama's going to be good, but it'll also see if Florida State's going to be good.
that's right.
And that game's in Tallahassee.
It's in Tallahassee.
Not a neutral site.
No.
Oh shoot, that's unusual for.
Thus far, Florida State's dropping more money than anybody. You can see who they're signing out of the portal.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at them, they're still 22 in the transfer/recruiting rankings right now, which is pretty. I mean, that's good, but it's not. I think they're the number 1 ACC team for recruiting after Miami. Miami's like number 14 or 15, but you have to get down to that's the first non-Big Ten/SEC team that's on that list of recruiting.
And what's a better way to redeem your fan base, right? From Florida State's perspective, right? Beat Alabama.
No, it can't be any worse.
God.
I mean,
you know Gus Malzahn likes to beat Alabama.
I mean, that's how you stay around as the coach at Florida State.
That's right.
Even though you have a humongous buyout, you're going to be around as long as you beat Alabama.
Well, we have another round of transfer portal. March or April after the. What do you call it? Is it the spring workout?
Yeah, April 4th, I think, is when it opens up, and then it'll open up for 3 or 4 weeks or something.
Yeah, that's when that's when there's gonna be a lot more movement going on then too.
For sure. Carolina loses to Illinois. I think last week when we were talking about the team that we thought was just going to beat the crap out of Illinois, did we say that about them or did we say that about Alabama?
No, I don't remember. I think we all thought it was going to be a good game because we thought Illinois and South Carolina were going to bring their best towards each other. I mean, the one disappointing SEC team. Is South Carolina because I mean I think they really wanted to win that game. I mean
they did not play good at all. Sellers was kind of shut out, man.
Well, if you again go back to what I was saying, same thing with Milroe a little bit. Number 1, you saw Sellers doing things he did week 1, week 2. Him sitting for is it 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Did him no favors.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
My point of next year, right? Does he come out next year looking like the end of the season?
No. The difference is next year everybody's going to look like that. That's the first game of the year. Everybody's been sitting and doing things like that. But number 2 is what I saw was a $2.7 million man. They were runs that he made against Clemson that he cut, he put his head down, he was ready to end. He's like, nope, I'm pulling this back. I'm shutting. I'm going to jog out of bounds. He looked like he was in a little bit of protection mode. Now, that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. It still should have been enough to beat Illinois, in my opinion. But they did have a couple of key players that didn't play the game. So you have some new faces that in some key roles. But it starts with Sellers, and he looked rusty. I mean, just that and the fact of, again, not making plays he's been making the last 6 games of the season.
Well, you haven't played in a couple of weeks, and that's one thing. But then again, if it is in the back of your mind, like, holy shit, I'm going to be signing up this $2.7 million as long as I am around in January, February, and March, whenever he's signing this. I don't know for sure when they actually do these signings. There's not really a signing, right? You're not signing for $2.7 million.
No, there's no contract involved at all. That's what's crazy about all this.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've got something in writing.
But, yeah, and it's in the back of his mind, though. I mean, if you're sitting there, are you going to put your head down and crash into a 350-pound lineman, or are you just going to kind of slide forward? Who knows?
Not in a bowl game.
Not in a bowl game. Yeah, I mean, it's not worth it.
They open up with Virginia Tech next year. I'll be shocked if he comes out looking like that against Virginia Tech next year.
But, I mean, the biggest take from that game was the chaos with the coaches and some of the crap that was being. What's interesting about this game is, as I've said this, I actually had this conversation today. There are rule changes that are about to come about because of that game. Basically meaning when you're making substitutions, you've got to allow the defense to make their substitutions. They're going to be on a clock next year. You got, from the time that referee puts his hand down to stop it, you've got X amount of time to get your subs in, or he's going to release it. And if it's 12 men, if you're not set, he don't care. You got to go.
I thought the rule was 15 seconds. I thought that was the rule. I thought there was an actual rule about that.
It may be.
It may be, but you've never seen it enforced one day ever.
Yeah, and they had, of course, they had the Big 12 refs, which, I mean, you can't get as bad as the Big 12 refs. I mean, they were. And, I mean, look, it was Bush League what Bellum was doing. You know.
Is that what you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, the Big 12, I lived through them. They're not good. And that crew they had was not a good crew. But anyway, I mean, but Bielema was being Bush League, but my question was, well, maybe Beamer should have stooped down to that level.
He was laughing on that sideline. It was funny to watch, man.
I'm talking about the whole taunting and stuff. That's whatever.
It was, but don't let that get in your head.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Don't let it get in your head. If Beamer let it get in his head and you reacted to it,
he looked, at the end of the day, he looked bad. Yeah.
What would Nick Saban have done in that situation?
When he comes over to his sidelines, I think Saban reacts pretty similar.
Yeah, he would have to get held back.
I don't think
it'd be. I can't see Nick Saban getting held back.
I mean, Beamer was losing his shit, man.
I've seen him fired up, but
I've seen him be pulled back off a player. I guarantee you, if another coach walks over and does that, he gets fired up.
Brett Bielema's not doing that to Nick Saban. And I'll tell you one thing: if Nick Saban talks to one of the refs and says, "Fix it," that shit gets fixed right away. Beamer doesn't have that respect.
You're right.
He don't have the clout yet to do it.
Clout. I should say clout, not respect. He don't have the clout.
Yeah, he was not for nothing. The guy looked like he was throwing a temper tantrum on the sideline. I mean, it got out of control. The other coach was sitting across the way, just laughing at it. You know, like he had that smirk on his face. I mean, he won that game on winning the game, but he also won as in getting into Beamer's head and just making it look bad.
But at the end of the day, but
he was being a dick.
But 100. But he's known for that. He's the one that will intentionally, like he's known a few years back. Where did he come from? Arkansas.
Well, he was at Wisconsin, then Arkansas. Yeah.
Okay, it's one of the two. To where at the end of the game, he was trying to chew through clock. He took a delay. He took some sort of penalty, knowing it, like kind of like Oregon did, knowing it was going to run 8 seconds off the clock. I mean, some people call it gamesmanship, and I call it Bush League. Just play the game. You don't try to play the rules, because then they come in and react to it and they make it awful. So, but at the end of the day, though, even through all that, I mean, you get to the end of the game, Sellers still has a chance to win it and throws the ball behind the guy's legs at his knees. Yeah. He should, again, against Clemson, he hits him in the chest. They win the game, and we're not having this conversation. So, I think the story from this was Sellers did not look like the end of year Sellers, and we'll see. We'll see what he looks like coming out of the gate next year. Man,
I mean, definitely he's maybe coming out of the gate next year, maybe a little bit rusty, whatever. Like every quarterback is, but I'm sure that Carolina is led by a very good quarterback right now.
He's very good, but he's not
100%.
going to do the same things next year with that amount of money. Like Dave was saying,
and the thing
they did last year.
The one I'm more interested to see is the one person that did look good in that game was Nick Harbor. That dude gets better and better. He's one of the fastest men in the country. Mm-hmm. And if he gets to where he can consistently catch the ball to where you can throw it up, run on 10-1, 100 and throw it up in the air, let him go get it because he's 6'6", that gets really – you don't have to be quite so accurate when you can do that.
Are y'all – you're speaking of $2.7 million man, are you worried that guys that you might start getting some of these guys that sign these money and then they're not going to put out the effort? They're not going to work – I mean
absolutely.
Right now it should be a concern. But again, I think you're about to see the landscape of college football dramatically change in the next 12 to 24 months to where it's going to be like collective bargaining. You're going to have contracts. You're going to have to meet standards to get your money. You're going to have to play in a bowl game to get your money. You're going to do all this other kind of stuff. So to throttle it back, I mean, I think what you're going to end up seeing is kind of like NFL contracts. You're going to get X amount, and then we'll give you incentives on the other side of that.
Yeah, it's all about making it to that point and getting that deal, right? Once you have that deal, what's your incentive?
The incentive is this: if you're not where you can go out in the league yet, so he gets 2.7. he wins the SEC next year. What's his value in year 3? That's his incentive is 2.7 turns into 4.5 next year because I've earned that.
Or a first round pick in the NFL.
Exactly.
Which is
Hey, your deal going good either way.
Yeah.
So what is the motivation is to continue to grow so that what do they call it? Do they call it NIL value or whatever they call it?
NIL value, yeah.
Continues to raise every year that you're playing.
Well, that could be. I don't know anything about South Carolina's boosters, but if his money goes up and he doesn't go to the pros, somebody with money's going to come along and take him. That's what I worry about for the South Carolina fans.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know
anywhere with any player.
Well, again,
he's a local boy too, so
that helps a lot.
Yeah,
His brother's going to be here next year too. That might be something that keeps
so,
around.
family.
But one of the things that's been floated, we've already talked about on the show, is they're going to quote have the salary caps. So, it's only going school's only going to have X amount of dollars. They can cap how much they can throw around. So.
Well, not with boosters, but boosters can still pay wherever they want. That collective bargaining will be $20 million.
Yeah, it is, but I think they're still going to they're going to have to somehow rein it in. Otherwise, all sports go to the highest bidder.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, I know.
But the good news is when they start throwing all that extra money is we're going to see better bowl games.
I would hope so.
I don't think that the people are going to be running for vacation as quickly.
Not unless they put some level of stipulation in it.
Right.
Unless they put some performance
incentive
in it. What I heard somebody mention was if you offer them $2.7 million, you're guaranteed. I'm being arbitrary, 1.8. But then if you win your bowl game, you get the additional 500, 600. It's a performance-based deal.
Of course.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. So, did anyone think that Boise State underperformed what you expected them to last week, or just Penn State? I mean, they number 8 running defense in the country. I think we were talking about it last week. Like we expected it to be where Penn State wins the game. Some people maybe thought Boise State was. Who knows? But I mean, I don't know.
Look, we said they were going to pack the box, stop Genty, and they stop everything. But here's the thing I want to take away from this. There's a lot of people giving him crap, going, "Oh, you wouldn't have done this if you'd have been." He still rushed for 104 yards against that defense.
Yeah,
and there was runs that should have been a loss, and he got 3 yards out.
Correct.
He is a good
How
one.
many carries did he have?
30.
That's good.
That's what I'm saying. Over 3 yards carry. So it's that part of what pissed me off. But at the end of the day, no, we sat here and said if Boise State beat them, it's going to be on their defense and going to be on their wide receivers, and neither one played exceptionally well. So
But,
Penn State played pretty good on offense too, I thought. I mean, but then again, they're playing against Boise State, who isn't known for having the best defense in the world. So,
but Penn State just either they play down to their competition. I don't know what it is and they did this against West Virginia in the first game too. The first half they just don't seem into it. And then the second half, they come out and they look like a good football team. Like that game was 17-14. Now, I don't think that Boise State was ever going to win it. But you're looking at it going, boy, it's 17-14, but it feels like it's a lot worse than that. You know what I mean? And when they did, and I said, go back to the SMU game. Take the pick. I mean, you think about what happened in the 3.5 quarters of that game. But SMU, the first 3 possessions, took the ball right down the field. They just kept making mistakes. They were moving the ball. They were stopping Penn State, and then it got out of hand. I don't know how they're going to approach Notre Dame, but they cannot approach Notre Dame like that.
But the difference between SMU and Boise State is SMU is mostly passing offense, and Penn State is not. Their defense is more geared toward the run.
I get that, but Penn State is. Penn State's. Okay, we're going to use the conference. They're a Big Ten team. SMU. I know they're in the ACC, but they're still AAC, right? Just like we all think Texas is still Big 12.
Yeah, you don't think SMU powerhouse ACC team by any means.
And Boise State's is a very good quality Mountain West team, but they're not a threat, and it just I feel like Penn State.
Here's what we're going to find out. We're going to find out this week because everybody talks about how the Ryan Day, James Franklin can't win big ones kind of conversation, and people are saying, oh, they've gotten rid of that with this first 2 games. Absolutely not. They haven't. They have not done that at all. But the thing is, if you look at James Franklin, the reason he cannot win big games is he lets subpar teams hang around, and then they make a mistake. See, the 2 games they played already, they got this thing out and gone, and then they didn't have to worry about it. They were in cruise control by the fourth quarter. They do that, he can play, but you get in a tight game in the fourth quarter, that's where some of this, they made the bad decision. And when you're down 3 points, it hurts way worse than when you're up. When you're up 3 points, it hurts way worse than when you're up 20.
Yep, I agree with that.
So, Penn State is going to be playing Notre Dame this week, and Notre Dame played Georgia last week. Beat them. What was it, 23-10? Yep. Nobody thought. I would not think that Georgia will only score 10 points, but you know what? You guys were so high on this quarter. Hold on. Let me
backup quarterback.
Let me go ahead and play it for y'all really fast so that you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
It's not a downgrade. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it is. Yeah. I think it might even be an upgrade. Hold on. Are we talking a Tua situation here? I think so.
What quarterback was I just talking about there?
Gunner Stockton.
Gunner Stockton.
An upgrade?
In one game, you can't say whether or not he's an upgrade.
Oh, hold on.
He very well could be an upgrade.
But you guys were referring to that upgrade as for that game, he's an upgrade. You guys weren't saying, in the future he's going to.
In general,
You weren't saying in the future he's going to be an upgrade next season. You were saying he's an upgrade for next season.
I still stick to my guns. I don't know that Carson. I don't think Carson Beck plays that much better.
You don't think that they would have won if they had Carson Beck?
Georgia, they just looked at it from quarterback to defensive back to kicker to long snap. They looked out of sync.
Might have been. How many points did Notre Dame score?
Notre Dame scored 23 points.
It would have been 23-3.
Yeah, but you would think that. You think it would have been what?
23-3.
23-3.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gunner Stockton got them the extra 7 points.
I mean, it was an upgrade.
He didn't play great. He didn't play great. You're right, but I'm not pinning that loss strictly on him. That the whole team, just even Kirby on the sideline, everything looked out of sorts for them. Maybe it was the delay of the delay.
When you have the kid in street clothes cost him 15 yards, you knew it was going to be a long night right there.
Yeah.
That poor kid, I'd hate to have been in the locker room after the game or at halftime after that occurred.
That took 7 points off the board.
At 100% it did. And I'm like, you talk about momentum changers, you never know.
That ball was at the 10 yard. Was going to be the 10 yard.
Yeah, they were driving. Yeah. They were driving.
He apologized.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
I mean,
now I will say for the sake of conversation, that's a little in that particular game. That's a little iffy from the referee. Yep. Normally, when that happens, they give you a warning. They tell you to back up. They throw the flag, sideline warning, back up. It didn't impede him. That guy just got pissed off.
You don't know that didn't happen before, right? It could have.
No, what I'm saying is, they sit there the whole time. Back up, back up. Look, you normally on every football team, if you use the strength coach, you got your backup guy. Get back, get back, and that's what they do the whole game, right?
Right.
Yep.
But what'll happen is they will come out and say sideline warning. That's your warning, and then the next time it's a flag.
Yep.
You didn't see any of that. Yep. So again, was it the penalty? Yeah. I'm like, man, do you really throw that flag right there? I don't.
But what makes it worse is it's those kids that wear the jerseys and blue jeans. They're usually standing on the bench, but you never see those guys. Like I've seen referees running the players or coaches on the sideline, and that's generally gets a pass because
the kid was happy he was in a playoff game, man.
Yeah,
give him some credit. Give him some slack. Cut him some slack. But
let's talk about the mental aspect. Poor Kirby. His dad had already fell down and was getting operated on. I'm sure that had some effect on him. And then, unfortunately, his father passed.
Yeah, I mean,
but
sadly, obviously
yeah,
that's a sad situation.
He was also stretched real thin, going to the hospital, dealing with the upcoming football game.
It's a lot to have on your mind.
It is
for a big football game.
I tell you, I think Cheeks is on. I mean, that Georgia team from top to bottom, they just looked out of sync. Yeah. Am I wrong? I mean, they didn't look right. They didn't look right.
And every team has their bad day.
And Notre Dame scored 23 points. So odd. I mean, the way they scored some of their points, you're like, wow. But kick return and a immediate turnover touchdown. I mean.
But you're Georgia. You got defense. You got offense. You have the best players in the country going to that school.
Maybe.
Yeah, you do. I mean, they've had the number one recruiting class for like 5 years in a row. Last year they did not. I think it was Texas that did. But before they were still number 2 or 3.
I don't want to hear about these recruiting classes. I mean, these are people being judged by
their high school. Yeah.
I mean, we hear that shit every year. Oh, this is best. But Texas A&M, we heard that with Jimbo for 3 or 4 years in a row. And it didn't mean squat. So
I mean, it worked for Georgia. They won national championships.
I just don't think. I think we're so enamored. I'm not getting on my SEC soapbox here. We're so enamored with the Alabamas of Nick Saban and what Kirby's been able to do. Maybe, just maybe, these teams have taken a step back and everyone's caught up to them.
I think that's probably.
You don't think so?
No. I think what you're seeing now is paying players out in the open, and you're seeing parity because now.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm leading to that.
Yeah. What I'm saying is.
Oh yeah, that's why there's every loss. Every team
that's what I mean by catching up.
Loss.
Oh yeah, they're catching they're not catching up because they're recruiting better. They're catching up because now
money.
Yeah,
Notre Dame has money.
And so, all the stuff that was being done in the shadows that now what I'm finding comical is all these players that got paid over the last 20 years come out talking about
at Alabama
and talking about the sacks of money that showed up and everything else, right? And so, they were just doing it better than everybody else. And so now it's out there, it's in the open. You've kind of got a more level playing field, so you've kind of diluted the talent pool with these schools to where now you're seeing the playing field leveled a little.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm not trying to bash on Nick Saban, but I mean, it's he does decide to leave the game when everyone's allowed to pay players now.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't mean he knew it was going on.
Bullshit,
man. Bullshit.
I mean, bullshit. It doesn't mean that.
I don't want to hear that.
He knew it was going on.
That man knew how many times his quarterback wiped his ass every time he took a shit. I guarantee you he knew how much money was coming through that thing. Just the whisper in the ear, nothing written down. He knew. But, I mean, that's why all these big coaches are leaving. I mean, look, even some of my favorite coaches that from schools I love are leaving. Why? Because it's not in the shadows anymore, and they're like, everybody thinks I'm a great coach. No, we just threw a lot of money around.
Yeah, hold on. Nick Saban was a great coach.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying that.
I'm saying some of these coaches are saying I look a lot better than I did because I had a payroll.
Yeah. I mean, look, college basketball had a big exodus. I mean, Virginia's basketball coach leaves like 3 weeks before the season starts, and he says, I don't like the way they're doing the NIL stuff. Huh. Really?
I mean, Miami's left last week?
Larinaga left, yeah. I mean, you're talking about two schools that got really good really quick. Virginia won the national championship a couple years ago.
Right, that's right.
At the expense of your boys.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So I mean, and we know old Bruce Pearl. We know how he can be. So I don't know, man. I think that now that it's open, like we just talked, it's open book now. Teams are getting paid. The parity's getting spread out. I think some of these coaches maybe they've been masked by.
I think the reason why Georgia lost that game is because they did not have their starting quarterback in. And Gunner Stockton was not confident, and the team did not have confidence in their quarterback. And that's exactly why they lost. That is a huge morale boost when you have somebody that you've practiced with for the entire preseason, the entire season, even though he threw 3 interceptions per game several times. It's not like he came off the frickin' field. He still played, and he was able to come in and do things in the second half and so forth and win those games.
I don't think confidence is the right word. Continuity is the word. Timing, things of that nature. Even if that kid could throw the ball around. Yeah. I mean, it's coming off of different guys, a different way you catch the ball and different things like that. So,
what did he do in the game that sticks out to you that says, "Oh, this guy Beck would have been"? But what did he? Did he throw an interception?
No, he didn't throw any interceptions.
Did he fumble the ball?
He did not. No.
Did he?
It's just it's a different cadence to the game that the rest of the team is not used to, and that's gonna change the way that Georgia plays. You've only used this guy for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. They're in practice.
Or 4 weeks, I think it was.
These guys are in practice every day.
Yeah, and he's been taking reps for the last 4 weeks. I mean,
it's different though, man. You're going to go in there with a different mindset. Like, oh, we got our backup quarterback starting today.
I just think.
I think there's a mental issue with that.
I guess my problem is and I know what you're saying, but I just cannot give Carson Beck that kind of credit. He's the reason that team went 10-2. I cannot do that. I just can't do it. I mean, you're essentially saying that Carson Beck is the sole reason why that whole team won games.
No. That's the reason why that's the reason why they had their backup quarterback. And I mean, what was it? 2012 Ohio State with their third string quarterback. Like that's
and what did they do?
Hold on, that's an anomaly though. That's not the norm.
Not when your
usually
when
you have your second string quarterback in, you're not playing at the same level as you were when you had your first string quarterback in.
I got to agree with both of you guys. It's a little bit of everything. I think that the wheels were off balance on the team, and then you bring in a backup quarterback, and he can't congeal it like Carson Beck may have been able to do.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, they played with him for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Carson Beck was the starting quarterback all last season and this season. Of course, there's going to be some mistakes that are made because of that.
And I'm kind of arguing for the fun of it a little bit, but I mean, Carson Beck could have thrown 3 interceptions in this game, and it would have been a lot. I mean, chopper ain't wrong. It could have been 23-3.
Hold on, they're going to take more. They're going to throw more passes with Carson Beck in. Where with Gunner Stockton, if you look at the number of passes they threw with him in, they weren't throwing the same amount of passes as they would have Carson Beck. They played a different game.
You put a guy in that's only played 1 game, and he's going to throw less passes.
I'm just not going to concede that it's his fault they lost.
Okay,
well, it doesn't mean that if you played the whole season,
he's a piece of the puzzle.
He wouldn't.
He's one of 33.
Yeah.
There's special teams, defense. There's 33 guys that make a difference, and he was one of them, but he wasn't the reason in my book anyway.
Arizona State, man. Coming out to play Texas. I mean, what a game, right? Texas just fell apart the second and third quarter. Even in the fourth quarter, they pretty much fell apart. But they figured out how to get it back. Was it double overtime? Finally, Texas wins.
Yes.
I mean, that game should have been I don't know. Last week, if you listen to what we were talking about, you guys said that Arizona was going to keep this thing close, and if it got to the fourth quarter, you even said it. You specifically said, I'm not going to say it's going to be an upset, but I think it's going to be a close game. And that was the best game of the weekend, I think, to watch.
Yes.
I'm going to go back to something that's been said all year. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a referee problem. Oh. And let me tell you.
Damn you, ref, you burn in hell!
Look, sometimes referees make bad calls that influence a game. In this case, a blatant no call cost Arizona State a very likely chance to go and win this upset.
Explain to our listeners what you mean by that.
There was a targeting. By definition, this was targeting, and it was a no call. And it wasn't reviewed, wasn't anything. It was like, get off the field, and that stopped Arizona State's drive at the end of the game. That they would have prolonged their drive, possibly got them in field goal range, which isn't guaranteed because
they were at the
40.
I think they're at the 40 or 50 yard line whenever they threw the ball.
So that puts them at 35 with a first down.
35, with a first down.
What was the reasoning behind that not being targeting? I mean, I see everything just.
They looked at it
was
too.
Textbook targeting.
They never
said speared the guy in the head with a helmet.
I thought they said that it was because his head stayed up. His head never. He didn't.
That's what.
He didn't go crown to crown.
That's what Matt Alston, the guy in the booth with the announcers, said. He thought they were thinking, but he even said himself, "That's targeting."
He didn't lead with his shoulder. I mean, he led with his head. He speared him with his head.
It's head-to-head contact. Head-to-head contact. I put it to you like this: we can go back and we could do this if we felt like it. There's been a lot less called targeting all year long than that call right there.
For sure.
It obviously became to me. It was obvious to me. Those referees went, "We are not going to be the reason that Texas doesn't win this game." To me, it's like my buddy says, and he loves conspiracy theories. He's like, no, they made sure the big market team won the game. And I'm like, I'm not going to go that far.
Right.
Because there's calls throughout the game. You could say that, but that one at that moment, that was a huge call. I mean, they still could have gone down and missed a field goal. Their field goal kicker's terrible. But But the point being is, you call the game consistently, call the game the way it's supposed to be. You made the garbage rule. I hate the rule, but you made it. If you don't want them to do that, take their helmets off. But you made the rule, call the foul.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was looking at it, and whenever I posted on the Facebook group, and I had a bunch of different comments. Some people were like, "Yeah, it's targeting." Some people were like, "No, it's not." Dude, you'd have to be a Texas fan to say it wasn't targeting. That's the only people that were saying that.
And that's people who are either being funny or trying to be argumentative.
Yeah, when you lead with your head like that, it's targeting.
I mean, Gene Sarator, who I think we all think is probably one of the best referees of all time, tweeted the rule verbatim and said that was targeting. End of story. I mean, now because their coach at midfield after he shook hands lost his utter mind. He found the referee and lost his mind. And I'm like, you need to give him everything you want to give him. I mean, they wrote all kinds of, they can't appeal it, can't change the outcome of the game. Right.
But I mean, apparently he clipped this thing up, did the same thing, gave clips of this was called targeting, how's this, and sent the whole thing to them.
Yeah.
And these referees are supposed to go through a end of season vetting process to talk about their grades and how well they did. But every year we see something, I'm like, I don't know if that really happens. I just really don't.
Well, I don't remember. Where was the ref crew? The ref crew wasn't Big 12 and it wasn't SEC. It can't be.
I thought it was ACC, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I want to say it was it'd have to be either ACC or Big 10.
Yeah.
Or I guess it could have been one of the other ones too.
But that being said, Arizona State played a hell of a ball game. I mean, when Scatterbo gets offensive player of the game for a losing team, and he should have. Nobody on Texas stood out that deserved that award more than him.
Not at all. Texas played a bad game overall. I mean, first quarter they played pretty good. Second quarter, third quarter, and most of the fourth quarter, it was like, what are these guys doing, man?
All I'm telling you, they're about to have to play Ohio State, and both teams are going in two different directions based off the game we saw last week. And it pains me to say that, but
we are going to get to that game right after we talk about the Ohio State beating Oregon game. Hold on. I got something for y'all really fast. Something was said last week. I'm just going to make sure that
Ohio State is going to beat the shit out of them.
Hold on. Let's hear that again.
Ohio State is going to beat the shit out of them. Ohio State is going to beat the shit out of them.
You called it, bro.
Mountain Mama.
Mountain Mama called it, dude. Mountain Mama was like, Ohio State. Hold on. One more time.
Ohio State is going to beat the shit out of them.
And they sure as hell did.
I wanted you to be so wrong.
I'm telling,
dude.
Look,
34
points. I'm not an Ohio State fan at all, but. When Ohio State wins the national championship, Michigan should get a ring. The minute they put that flag in the center of that field, that woke up a sleeping giant. That pissed them. They were going to mope off the field after losing to Michigan. They put that flag in the field, and it pissed them off. The media went after how soft they were, and it was like, bullshit. And they have been on. And the reason why I felt that way with Oregon is the way they played Tennessee, and you could just see it in their eye. I'm like, Oregon's messed around all year. They've had some close calls. They score a lot of points. They messed around with Penn State, apparently. They
looked like a high school team last week.
I'm telling you now, it did not shock me one bit. I was hoping I was dead wrong because I'm not an Ohio State guy, but I don't.
Receivers were Ohio State were like wide open.
I mean, they've
nobody within 20 yards of them.
Those guys are 3 first-round picks, and they haven't hardly used them all year, seemingly. And now they're finally opening up the playbook. I mean, this is what this team could have been this year.
Well, you beat me to it. They're finally playing to potential. I mean, based on, you say, on paper this, on paper that, they're now playing how they're supposed to play. And quite frankly, I mean, you're sitting here looking at this. Texas basically has a home game, and they're almost a 6-point underdog or 5.5-point underdog. The only way Texas wins that game is they get after that quarterback. That's the only way.
2 games left, right, for Ohio State potentially, right? And they're not going to surprise anybody right now. Right? So Texas knows what they're getting. And everybody's talking about Ohio State and how good Ohio State is. They know what they're getting, and they'll be prepared for them.
Well, they've got to play a hell of a lot. They cannot go 3 and out. You go 3 and out, you're down 21-0.
Yeah, I guarantee you Oregon didn't expect to see it.
No,
Oregon did not.
But Texas will expect that.
Oregon came in, I mean, Coach said they were like the coach. I was listening to the post game interview.
They were not prepared.
They were not prepared. He said, "Oh yeah, our guys never gave up." Bullshit. Yeah. I mean, 34-0, and then right at the end of the half, you put up 8 points. Woo, big deal. You know, it was rough all around
Like
for
the
Oregon,
Denver
man.
Broncos.
They just got destroyed. I mean, it was rough, man.
Ohio State's on a different level right now. I don't care if Texas knows they're coming or not. If Quinn Ewers keeps playing like butt, and that team keeps playing like butt, Ohio State's going to run through.
I'm telling you, Quinn Ewers don't finish this game this weekend.
I would not be shocked.
I think just the opposite. I think Quinn Ewers shows up and they beat Ohio State.
We're going to get to those.
There's your soundbite for next week right there.
Well, let me mark that. Let me
Quinn
mark that on our
Ewers,
recording device
Ohio
here.
State quarterback.
Look, it's his last SEC opportunity to get one, so he's all.
He is going to show up to this game.
I think I remember a few weeks ago everybody going, please don't let Texas be the SEC school that does well because we'll never hear the end of it. Well, here we are.
Hook 'em horns.
We
Ewers gets 'em.
We have to ask one question on this though for those last 4 games that were played. The first question is like, does that first round bye really become a hindrance to your success going into this 12-team playoff?
When you lose your game, it's a hindrance.
Well, obviously, but all 4 of the teams that had a bye are now gone.
So a couple things. Those 4, you could argue probably Texas was the only one that should have had a first round bye out of all those teams. Because again, what you're going to see, and they may go ahead and change this next year. I'm telling you, is if you win your Power 4 conference, you're guaranteed to get in. But then they're going to seed them 1 through 12.
You said Texas should have a first round bye?
I said they should have this year. They were the one team that should have had a first round bye this year.
Georgia had the first round bye.
You're not listening to me.
Okay.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. Georgia shouldn't have. What I'm saying is, it's next year. Thank you for the correction. Was they're going to rank them 1 through 12. And the top 4 teams will get a bye, and it's going to be Boise should not have had a bye. I mean, Georgia.
Do you want to have a bye when all these teams came out playing like that?
So you beat me to the next question. It kind of reminded me of the new baseball playoff system. If you win your division and you end up sitting, and I think was it 2 years ago when they went to this, I think not a single division winner came out of the first round, all the wild cards, because they kept playing right through. And the thing is this, we've just been talking about South Carolina and other teams. Rhythm is a big deal in team sports.
Huge.
And if you've been sitting for a month, again, you scrimmage and practice. It's not the same. It's not the same.
No, you're right, because Philadelphia Phillies ended up losing.
Correct. Yeah. So you look at something we were talking about how much better the smaller bowls are. Yeah. They're out a week and they play their bowl game. They're out a week and a half, 2 weeks, and they play their bowl game, and they still look about the way they did at the end of the year. So to answer your question, it's going to remain to be seen if you really want. I mean, I think from who was it? I've lost my train. There was somebody that was beat up a little bit that needed the first round bye. It still didn't matter though. To me personally, I would still want it. What I think you're probably going to see though is they're going to slide the playoff closer. They're going to start the playoffs in earlier after
the same weekend as like the Army-Navy game or something?
Yeah, well, a week after that or what?
Yeah, they're not going to the week after the Army-Navy game this year.
But before Christmas.
Earlier December. Yeah.
No, I think they're going to start the first round the week of the Army-Navy game, so then the first round bye is only sat for 2 weeks. It's almost like having a bye week.
I think they need to go to 8 teams, like I suggested earlier.
They're never going down.
They're not going to go down.
But
that's 4 games of money that comes in.
Yeah.
You know what? And we're critiquing the hell out of this playoff because it's the first year, so we really don't know. Next year, if they don't, I'm with you, but I still think they're going to stick to their guns and not change it. And the four buys next year could be so daggone dominant, it doesn't matter if how long they were off or not. You know what I mean?
It could have been this is kind of, we look back in 10 years and say this was the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Was this year?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but I do agree. I do think that length of time is too long. I mean,
you had a team in Georgia that played at the SEC championship the first week of December, and then they were playing the first week of January, the first week in January is when they finally played again. Whereas if they would move it up 1 week, I think it would be very beneficial and also we won't have the national championship on like the 20th of January.
So that's my next thing too. It's like the Super Bowl. It's never, Goodell has already said he wants to push that thing to the end of February. I can't see.
That's good for guys about talking sports when we start talking NFL.
But it's good for money because the longer your sport is playing, the more attention you get.
The build up.
And I cannot see college football going from the 20th back to the 10th. I don't see that happening.
I mean,
that's true.
We get more football.
We're going to get more teams in the playoffs. What we're going to get.
Yeah.
16 teams.
It's going to go to 16, and what they're going to do is start at the Army Navy. Look, coming from a 1AA background. Okay, Chris, they may go.
It would have been good this year, but it's just I'm telling you, there's going to be a scenario where it's just like real watered down.
No, hold on. Oh, no,
this year would have worked.
That FBS championship started in that FBS. The FBS championship started at the end of November, and it's 24 teams that went through until now.
FCS.
Yesterday. Championship was last night.
But the point being is coming from that when I was playing, it was 16 teams. And your season ended this Saturday. The first round was the following Saturday. It was always Thanksgiving weekend was the first round, and you were done by the middle of December, and you played every week. So you still got good football. To your point, it's going to get way watered down because FCS now, like I said, it's like 24 teams because, again, at the end of the day, is it really good football? I mean, look at NCAA basketball tournament. They've expanded that thing out to, 74, 72 teams now?
68.
Because guess what? Regardless of how bad it is, it makes money every time they put that on. It's those early games like that. You're not competing with anything, so people watch it, and that's what they want.
And March Madness ends in
I
April.
agree with the money part of it, but
Yeah, they do it all in
the thing that's different about football is the injury aspect behind it. Right?
See that used to be why
many games.
That's why they no. I think more than 16 teams. I feel that way. But that was the thing all along. No playoffs. Worry about their injuries. Worry about their their education.
Yeah.
FCS been doing it ever since they came into existence, and we did just fine.
Every single division of college football does it.
But
most of those FCS teams don't have a bunch of guys that are going to be looking to be drafted in the NFL after the season's over with. So that being said, I don't see them going to 24 teams for
No.
I would be.
What about weather? Holy crap!
That's another one. I have a feeling they're going to put in. I think they kind of put that out there that certain teams could use, like
The NFL stadiums.
you could use a dome. Like for example, if Michigan State or Michigan and it got too bad, well, they could go to play at Ford Field or.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the home sites that's going to disappear. We're not going to have home sites anymore. I just have unless it's there's 16 teams in the first round. It's the middle of December where the weather's not so bad, but after that, I just can't see them doing. I don't know. I like the home site thing. I just worry that they're going to.
I like the home site thing too. I thought it was really good.
The NCAA always they like to let you have a little bit of fun, then they take it away.
Yep,
I'm afraid they're going to
yep.
take it away.
They're going to keep the home sites, I think, for those first round.
We talked
games.
about those bowl games in the beginning, right? Citrus Bowl, Outback Bowl. Not being very fun games to watch. Do those turn into?
Well, you have to also remember you're asking these fans to travel possibly four times, and these fans just aren't going to go to Orlando. If you're not, some of these fans have a lot of money, and there's also fans that live everywhere. But you're going to say, hey, Ohio State fan, or hey, Florida fan, you're going to go to Phoenix this week. You're going to go to Pasadena the next week. You're going to go to Atlanta the next week, and then the championship games in Houston. That's a lot of travel.
That's why I feel like if they expand it, you will at least see 2 rounds at the home.
That would be great
because again, you'll at least get your home fans there.
Yeah, that'd be great, but they got to push it back. I mean, I know not every December and January has been like this winter Arctic we're getting, but the weather's still a facter. Ask SMU.
Yeah.
Hey, do y'all remember last year around this time is when the Pac-12 was like, we're done, pretty much? And do y'all think this is going to happen to the ACC this month? ACC sitting there, all these teams.
God, I hope not, because we love making fun of the ACC.
Yeah, I know, but we saw it with the Pac-12. We know that one of these conferences has got to go away just because, the Big Ten, the SEC, those are the 2 power conferences, but I feel like the SEC is slightly down this year, but then again, they are getting all of the 5 stars, 4 stars. The majority of them are going to the SEC. A lot of them are going to the Big Ten. No 5 stars barely are going to
collapse if Clemson, Florida State, and Miami or North Carolina decided they were going to leave. Right, it would collapse. Right.
I have a 50-50 shot that in February we're going to be like, ACC's gone, baby.
But just remember why the Pac-12 fell apart. They never got a TV deal done. Their Pac-12 commissioner dragged his feet.
That's right.
They never had a TV deal, and everybody's like, "We're out." Because if you remember, they actually came really close to pulling Big 12 teams in. They were going to take Kansas State, Kansas, Texas Tech.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And Big 12 was caught with them. Then Big 12 said, "No, they signed the big deal, and the Pac-12 didn't."
Yep.
And that's what happened. ACC, I think ESPN owns them until like 2035.
They
or something
do.
crazy.
Yeah, it's a long contract.
That's why Florida State was almost on the verge of trying to sue them, basically saying because once the other TV deals were done, that they signed a bad contract. And that it's way underpaid. And that's why Florida State was basically going to try to sue them to either you go get more money for us or we're going to try to bail out of the conference. The thing with that you got to keep in mind with the ACC, though, is not with all of them. Is again, that's kind of tobacco road. That's basketball country. That's going to pull a lot of water with the ACC.
Oh, yeah.
But number 2 is there's a lot of it is easy to say we want to leave. So, like, for example, it's in the North Carolina legislature. Wherever North Carolina goes, NC State has to go. They have to be in the same conference. So now
really?
You got to start fighting governmental stuff to break these agreements within this because it's a state university to do that. So
that's crazy, man.
Not saying they won't do it because money drives everything, but again, the ACC's got a lot more clout than the Pac-12 did. Again, and it's driven by basketball, believe it or not. So we'll see how it shakes out. But could I see the ACC contracting some? Yeah, could I see like Florida State and some of these bigger football predominant schools leaving? Sure. But I don't see it fully dissolving. But hey, crazier things have happened.
And I know it's all about TV markets, but if they could do a trade, they should trade the Big 12. They should, and this is just me being selfish, but they say, okay, Big 12, you get Cal and Stanford, and we get West Virginia and Cincinnati, just to keep it in territorial. I mean, hey, I know I'm a big West Virginia homer, but we do bring a competitive balance. Our basketball team's pretty good. We do have a pretty good football team. We have other good sports. I mean, better than some of the stuff you got in there right now. But I know it's not going to happen because of the whole, what the grades and all that kind of crap.
Before the ACC collapses, you'll end up basically seeing a complete restructuring to where you've got basically two power conferences, like the North and the South.
It'll be AFC, NFC.
Yeah, pretty much. That will be what would end up breaking them up totally. You won't see it dissolve the way the Pac-12 is. I think there's still too many big universities with a lot of money, with a lot of pull and a lot of high places. Again, mainly driven by basketball. That if it dissolves, it's because football has completely reworked itself.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and jump into the semifinal games, man, because I know that some of us are going to try to support the Children's Charities of the Midlands tonight and go over to Beef O'Brady's to drink some drinks and stuff. But if y'all that are listening want to support the Children's Charities of the Midlands, go ahead and hop on our Facebook group. We do have some links to that as well if you want to go ahead and support a great cause. Let's go ahead and jump over to that Penn State versus Notre Dame game. I think this, just giving y'all a quick rundown of just doing the research that I've done on this game, man, I really think Notre Dame is going to win this game, right? It really comes down to Notre Dame has a better defense and a better offense overall. Penn State has not been particularly proven all season. It's not like they've had a gauntlet getting here either to the semifinal, and they're going to have a huge challenge. They're going to have an uphill battle beating Notre Dame. Notre Dame is balanced on the run and the pass. That's the strength that Notre Dame has, but PSU will be able to shut down that run. I think that if Notre Dame can depend upon the passing game, they win this game. But I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a close game. I just don't think that Penn State can pull it out.
You think Franklin can coach them into a win?
I do. I actually do. Yes.
No.
And I think absolutely. Absolutely. I go with the same thing that I was saying about Ohio State, right? So they know what they're getting with Notre Dame, right? Notre Dame's coming in hot. I just don't see Notre Dame or Ohio State going into another game or games with the same level that they've been playing the last two. I just don't see them sustaining that. I really don't. And I think this is an opportunity for James Franklin to get that win, and I think he gets it.
He gets that signature win this week coming up.
Against Notre Dame.
He's due. Lord knows he's due.
The word that's going to come into this, I was listening this morning to a different podcast, is tradition. Notre Dame is starting to look like traditional Notre Dame, and it pains me to say that because I was their biggest
traditional Notre Dame from the 80s.
Like,
you're talking about when Montana was there, and
no, I'm talking about just general what you expect from Notre Dame. Because I put it, they were going through today the things that Brian Kelly got rid of, little traditions and things for Notre Dame that he's like, that Marcus Freeman has brought back in to the program because he says, I feel like this camaraderie is important. They are playing physical football. They're playing efficient football. Again, they look back like Notre Dame, and they're hating it. I'm going to puke to say that. But the thing is this. I think the only determining factor with this is, do I think Notre Dame's a better football team? I actually do. I think they're more skilled.
Oh, yeah.
It's just they haven't had a close game in a while. So if Penn State can get them into the fourth quarter, can Notre Dame get over the hump, or can James Franklin not screw it up? That's going to be the conversation. Me personally, I'm not going to go Ohio State's going to beat the shit out of them, but I think Notre Dame beats them by two scores.
Mama, you think you think Notre Dame beats the shit out of them?
No, I don't think they beat the shit out of them, but I do think Notre Dame wins the game, and I think it might actually serve Notre Dame better to be in a close game because we've seen James Franklin in close games, and the guy just, and I can't. I mean, am I blaming him? I don't know because they got Kolanecki, who's their offensive coordinator, and they got defense coordinators who make bad calls, but
they stayed right along with Oregon in the Big Ten championship.
I mean, I didn't watch that game.
They played good on offense. They played good on defense. I mean, not good on defense. They let Oregon score 37 points. I think it was 38, 37 points, something like that. But it was only a 1 point game.
I don't trust Drew Aller. I think Riley Leonard's a better quarterback than Drew Aller. I just think when you start going down now, granted, they have a couple of good running backs in Singleton, and I can't think of the other guy's name off the top of my head, but Penn State. But I just think Notre Dame, like Rebel said, man, they look like that Lou Holtz. They
got their swagger back a little bit.
That team that when you thought somebody had that Notre Dame team down, they'd pull it out of their ass every time between 1987 and 1995.
Unless it was Boston College.
I agree with all of that. What you're saying about Notre Dame, but even with Notre Dame back then, they still lost games.
Well, obviously, but I'm just saying.
Not big ones. They didn't lose the big ones.
What I'm getting to is Notre Dame finally, for the first time in 20-plus years, has earned the respect that they should be given. They earn, again, the clout. We talk about the clout, the reputation. they're living up to the reputation right now, which they haven't done in 20 years. So I think they're a scary team. They're kind of hot. They're kind of like Ohio State. They're just quietly going about it and catching fire at the right time.
Yeah.
I think that if Penn State does shut down that run and makes Notre Dame pass the ball, I think that they do have a shot. Like I said, I think it'll be a close game just because of that.
And on a personal note, for the love of God, I don't want to see it all Big Ten final because we won't ever hear the end of it.
That'd be worse than all SEC for sure.
And think about this, right? What happens if it is all Big Ten and Ryan Day loses to James Franklin?
Well, somebody will have to lose that game. Somebody will finally win the quote big one.
No, but I mean, what happens if Ryan Day loses to James Franklin? Then what happens with his fan base? As good as they're playing, but they get all the way there and lose to James.
They're
Franklin.
looking. I don't have my pulse on that fan base or anything, but they're probably looking for a reason to get rid of him. I mean, it feels like they're winning these games.
They're not going to get rid of. They're not going to get
Not
rid of
this year.
Ryan Day after
If you lose to James Franklin,
whatever. He beat him in the regular season. I mean, this is
That's
a
not a
season
good
that you. This is a season that you might see Oregon get. Or Ohio State played Oregon twice, lost once, won once, and then you might see Penn State go in there, lose Ohio State, and then beat them in the.
The thing about Ryan, I mean, you're right. He may not get fired at this game. It's another chink in his armor that's just going to be a problem if he loses to Michigan again next year. I mean, I'm just saying he's starting to build brick by brick. I don't know what the term would be, but little by little, he's getting chinks in his armor, and it's going to build up one day into where they're just going to be like, "You're done, buddy. You cannot win the big game." I don't think that's going to happen, but
Definitely not this season.
Ohio State beat the shit out of Oregon last week. I don't think that the fan base is going to be so pissed.
I'm playing into Chopper's scenario. I don't believe any of it right now. But I'm just saying that fan base is. I don't think they're in love with him yet.
No.
I don't think they're in love with him yet.
Well, he's not very charismatic.
No,
he doesn't. He doesn't project an aura of confidence to me.
he
No, it's
doesn't-
not
he
like a
doesn't.
Nick Saban.
When you don't,
Right.
He's not a good speaker.
Freeman?
He's not confident.
I mean, James Franklin's a butthole, but he seems confident. I don't.
He is confident.
Well, he is that,
He can
yeah.
speak.
And Freeman, Marcus Freeman, I love that guy.
Freeman's just kind of smooth.
Yeah,
right?
but he's.
Very
I,
smooth.
I have
low-key and
confidence in
smooth,
him. I
right?
watch him and say
Yeah.
that guy knows what he's doing.
He's real soft demeanor, smooth.
Day needs to start by staying out of the beard dye. That's all I know.
Just for me.
What?
Are you making fun of my beard?
What are you talking about?
Are you making fun of my beard?
Are you making fun of my beard?
Hold on, I don't have any grays in my beard. So
I don't either.
I know.
That's because
I
I'm
don't
using
know
that
if
Ryan Day.
No,
just
I'm
for
saying
me.
Ryan Day needs to stay out of it.
It's awful. It's awful black.
Hey, I don't think he's dyes his
He
beard.
needs to go with
Shit.
he needs to go with a medium brown because you can't tell with a medium brown. Okay.
Hey,
Become a beauty show.
yeah. We're going to start. If you would like some beauty tips, go to
I was about to say, when I came in here, I
www.guysatthebartalkingsports.com.
was like, oh, Ray's beard's looking pretty
/Rebels
good today.
tips.
Rebels tips. All right. Hey, Texas is going to be playing Ohio State this week. Cotton Bowl, I think that one is. Is
It
that
is.
yeah?
It's a
That's
home
the
game,
Cotton Bowl.
basically.
Texas defense, man. They're good. They're good. But Ohio State, the way that they've been playing the last couple of games, the way they've been playing this season, I mean, they are running on all cylinders. Texas, dude, the way that they played last week does not give me any confidence in this team. I think that they're 6.5 point, or Ohio State 6.5 point favorites right now. It might be more than that.
5.5.
Is it just 5.5?
Listen,
Okay.
they didn't get to the place that they're at by playing bad football. They played a bad game, yes, but they've been playing good football all year. They know what they're expecting, right? They know what Ohio State's bringing, right? They know the enthusiasm that they're bringing.
That doesn't mean they have the.
Texas will be very
They
much
may
ready.
know it, but they don't have the talent.
very
to beat
much
them.
ready, and they have the talent.
No,
Yes, they have
Texas
the talent.
has the talent
Absolutely
to win this
they do.
game.
I don't think they're going to do it.
And they'll be well coached. Yeah.
No, Texas has a good defense, and their defense is going to play just fine. It's going to be a matter of can they keep their offense together to make a difference, because Ohio State's going to score.
Yep.
They're going to score. So, if they honestly, if I think if Ohio State scores 21 points, they win the game.
Have you ever-
That's the way I kind of feel this.
Have you
But
ever played against your old team?
what do you mean?
Have you ever played against your old team?
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, but
there ain't a single soul on that team that Ewers played with.
Dude.
We've had our kids play against.
Quinn Ewers is.
You know how our kids play when they play a team that they used to be on. They play harder.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers is not going to go in there
They
thinking,
do.
"Oh, I'm going to
Trust
beat
me.
my old
He doesn't
team."
need to play harder. He needs to play smarter.
He
Yeah.
knows-
Yeah.
He don't need to play harder. He
Rebel knows that.
needs to play smarter is what he needs to do. And the thing is this, once he gets in a pressure situation, he's starting to do stupid stuff. I mean, he really is. He's taking risks he shouldn't take. He's not sitting in the pocket long enough to where, he tries to take off and run and he gets sacked. Again, I think he's a good player. I'm not going to argue that, but his confidence right now is rattled a bit for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, they got a good backup just sitting there waiting.
And that's what I'm saying.
Not good enough though. Sarkisian would put him in if he was ready to be playing at this level. And Quinn Ewers is ready to play at this level. He's had moments of greatness throughout the season. He's he's a great quarterback, but then again, he has those confidence issues that he's had for these big games. He goes in there, and last week he could not complete a pass that second and third quarter. It was rough, man.
When Texas let Clemson back in it in Austin, that game got too close.
It did,
and they could have, should have. Referee bad call, lost to Arizona State, and that game was over.
Yep.
Should have been over. I just don't share. I don't share y'all's confidence in Texas. Damn, or their defense. I just don't.
You don't. So you don't have the confidence in their defense.
Rebels said they scored 21. They win. I think they could score 21 in the first quarter.
You know what? Defense.
I do. I don't mean it's going to be a blowout, but I'm just telling you, if they keep going 3 and out, Ohio State is going to score more than 8, and it's not a good recipe for Texas.
And then you add to this. We've seen this in the NFL. We've seen this in college basketball. You've seen it in baseball. Who is hitting on all cylinders right now? Ohio State. When we look at the
they're on fire.
We look at the litmus test of all the teams and who looks good right now. None of them look worth a shit except Ohio State. Yep. They look like they are. You catch it. To compare them, they kind of look like what South Carolina did at the end of the year, to where everything they did was right, and if they made a mistake, they recovered. That's the way they look, but they're in a much bigger scenario right now. And again, could Ohio State lose to Texas? 100% they could lose to Texas.
Of course, sure.
But I'm surprised it's only 5.5 points.
Do you think you bring up a good point? With the new system, do you think we have the best 2 teams at the end of the season playing each other?
It doesn't matter if you have the best 2 teams. It's who won the playoffs.
The BCS
is that the best 2 teams?
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's not how any sport works.
But the BCS would have given us Oregon and Georgia, and they lost by combined 40-some points.
Right.
Would that have been the best 2 teams?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say.
I made this comment a few weeks ago. I said, "This is America. We play sports a little different in the NCAA tournament, NFL football, college basketball, NBA." Sometimes the best 2 teams don't make it to the final. It's the playoffs.
That's the way it is now.
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah.
I love the fact that if they would have had the same rules as they had last year, then we would not have any of these 4 teams sitting there playing in the playoff. And we have 4 teams that were great teams by any means, but they're sitting there playing for the playoffs. Whereas the 4 teams that they beat last week, those are the ones that would have been in. Well, no. We can't say Arizona State and Boise State. That's right. Arizona State and Boise State wouldn't have been. That's true.
You'd have Ohio State and Texas in there, so you'd have had half of the teams. But I get your point.
I digress for a second. Again, listening on the radio the other day, this guy was making the point, in his opinion, that the BCS was just before its time, that it was a shitty system for 4 teams, but it's a beautiful system for 12 to 16 to make sure you account for all the factors. And I went,
well,
it ain't crazy.
This was something we talked about a few weeks. I don't know if you were here or not. College basketball has the best system in place to rank the teams for the tournament. It's called the RPI. Mm-hmm. And I think college football needs to adopt something BCS was sort of similar, I guess. Yeah. But they need to have something kind of like what you got right here that really breaks down everything and says this is the best 12 teams. If that means that's 8 SEC teams, then I'm all for it but just don't give me brands. You got to give me the legit shit. You know what I'm saying? So, like in college basketball, you look at the RPI list, you might see like the Rhode Island Rams are like 11th. You're like, what in the world? That's because their stats match up to, they're a pretty good team. They just have a couple losses there, So I'm hoping college football kind of adopts something like that. It'd be really, really beneficial,
it's very hard to figure out who the best 12 teams are. It's very hard. It could be any team could go in and beat another team at any given day, it seems like to me. Obviously Texas.
Saturday.
Pardon me? Yeah, any given Saturday. Exactly. So it's very tough to figure that out. Yeah. But I like where we're at right now. Nobody would expect Penn State to be sitting there, or even Notre Dame to be sitting there playing for a chance to be in the national championship.
My question is, if Penn State was a different seed, are they still there? So where they didn't have that road, the same road.
I'm trying to think who. So if you replace them with,
so they played SMU and they played Boise State.
So if you swap them in Texas,
they played West Virginia.
Well, no. In the playoffs. If they were a different seed.
Yes, Chiefs, we all know they beat West Virginia.
I'd love to bring that up.
Is Penn State still in the Final Four if they were seeded where Texas was? That's
I don't know. Oh. Would they have beaten Clemson? Would they have beaten Arizona State? I don't know. Yeah.
So we're playing what ifs. We can't.
Yeah,
can't do that.
That's right.
We're playing that SEC hypothetical game.
Yes.
Who's the better quarterback? We got Will Howard or Quinn Ewers. Who's the better quarterback of the two?
Stockton.
Talent-wise, it'd be Ewers, but the guy's playing the best ball is Howard.
Yeah, it's hard to tell right now. I think Ewers, something's in his head, man. Something is really going on with his confidence level.
I think you said it last week, Rebel. You said that he's probably being courted by some.
I think what's in his head is he's tired of looking over his shoulder of, if I make one too many mistakes, I'm going to watch a Manning come in and take my position. I can appreciate competition to bring out the best in people, but you've seen it bring out the worst. Whereas I feel like the best thing Texas could do to him, if he's going to start, and for all intentions and purposes they are, is for him to be pulled off the side. You're our guy. I don't care what happens. Short of you have an injury, you are not coming out of this game. And that might be the best thing they could do for that kid. Because, again, I feel like he's looking over his shoulder every time he throws a pick, every time he gets sacked. He's like, oh, hell, here, I'm coming out. I think it's hurt him in that regard to have the name Manning behind him.
It screws up a quarterback's confidence every single season. You see it every year with great quarterbacks that get out there and they just have somebody behind them that's gonna take their place, and it just screws them up for sure.
Maybe that was Carson Beck's problem all year. He had Gunner Stockton on him.
Hey, because he was an upgrade. That's why.
Oh, shit.
Saying it again.
Hey, we got 5 minutes on the NFL for y'all, okay?
All right.
And just we're at a little bit about the same length as we normally go for shows, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the wild card weekend. Let's go ahead and get it off of our chest, man. Who is going to win the Super Bowl this year? Who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year?
Chiefs.
That's what we'll talk about.
Chiefs and Eagles.
Chiefs and Eagles.
I said it in August on here.
You did.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
And I said
happening.
the Vikings and the Bills.
Vikings and the Bills. Okay.
I said Vikings, Bengals, and you're never going to convince me they did not
gonna
throw
be
that game.
Bengals.
But that's another conversation for another
You know
day.
what?
You know when that.
You know what? It shouldn't come down to that.
No, I didn't say it should.
Correct.
No, but I'll tell you, if the Bengals got in, they were going to be dangerous.
Hey,
I agree
but if
100%.
you were the Chiefs, you're going to do the same thing, right?
No, there's one thing to sit your players. Yeah. It's another thing to Carson Wentz looked like a 6-year-old out there trying to play.
Let's be honest. If you're Kansas City, do you want to see Joe Burrow?
No, not at all.
Way,
but to answer your question, I said Minnesota. I said Minnesota and Cincinnati when we asked this before. I think there's a lot of reasons. I've become a little bit of a fanboy just because of folks around here that are going through a lot. His college team got him last year. I'd love to see his NFL team get him this year. I'm rooting hard for the Lions. I mean, my team's out. I want to see it.
I think the Lions, if they heal up, their injuries are killing them.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Them having a week
they've
off.
They've got a bye week, and a couple people have come back into the flock.
Yeah.
So I think that
the Lions at the beginning of the season. Lions, Chiefs.
And the thing is this, as depleted as they were, they beat the crap out of Minnesota the Monday night. I mean, they beat them pretty good. They beat them handily.
they did.
Yeah, that first half was a little slow, but I mean, the
But
second
Sam
half.
Darnold,
Look, the man's played great all year. I mean, he had one bad game. I'm not going to throw him back under the bus
that's
yet.
not the time to have a bad game.
Yeah, but two of his 3 losses have been against the Detroit Lions.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, I mean, if you held a gun to my head right now, I say Detroit Buffalo.
Detroit Buffalo.
Because Buffalo's just finding a way to get it done.
That's one of those Super Bowls where you look at, I don't know who I'd root for, because both of those fan bases have just been through.
Starved.
I know. I want both of them to win.
The Lions,
Can they have a
Lions
tie?
are great.
I mean, you have to root for the
story.
Lions because at least the Bills
That's
had
right.
4 shots at it.
You're right.
But
Jim Kelly.
You're wide right.
Oh, jeez.
But I would love to see the Redskins Commanders, but they're not going to get past Tampa Bay. But boy, it'd be so nice to.
Oh no, you guys are going to go past Tampa Bay.
Anyway,
Tampa Bay's been playing pretty good football lately.
yeah.
Well, they were questionable at the beginning of the game on Sunday, though.
They were the Redskins that would win.
Well, they were the Redskins. They were the Redskins the last time they won 12 games in a season,
100%.
1991.
And they won a Super Bowl that year.
I know, buddy. If somebody told 7th grade Mountain Mama,
They would never win
genius.
another one.
Doug
This is it. You better enjoy
Doug
it. I would have
Williams,
enjoyed it a hell of a lot more
Doug
instead of thinking we're going to win it again next year.
Doug Williams.
But Jalen
No,
Hurts.
That was
Mark
Mark
Griffin.
Griffin. Doug Williams was 88.
I love Mark.
Theismann was 82.
I mean, I thought we were going to win it again because we were
Sonny Jurgensen was 74 and they lost.
yeah we were
Were you live?
No.
Okay.
we were 2 points from being 15-1 that year. The Eagles, the last game of the season.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, the way we played that year, I thought we're going to win it again next year.
Not so fast, my friend.
Exactly, not so fast. 34 years later.
Well, the Eagles might get another chance to play you guys.
Don't
You win this week, we win this week.
Fast, my friend.
There was.
I've been waiting to use that one right there. Hold on.
that.
Let me go ahead and try it one more time for his mama's sake.
Yes, so fast, my friend.
Landon the Legend makes his appearance on the show.
Cute. Oh my God.
Yes, so fast, my friend.
All right, but Jalen Hurts is back. They just got rid of their 4th-string quarterback, so they have faith that he'll be back this week.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah, that was a good deal.
The Eagles are going to go as far as Saquon can carry them. That's going to be.
Well, Saquon's playing on Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. If where he goes, they go. If somebody can, they're not going to stop him. Can they at least throttle him back a little bit?
And
that's going to be determined whether they win the whole thing or not.
And that's why I'm picking them over the Rams. If the Lions were completely healthy on defense, I would give the Lions the edge. But man, having a weak having a banged up defense against that offense, it's gonna be tough.
Hey, we were talking about bye weeks, right? And basically, Kansas City had a bye week, right? Does that hurt
They've had 2
them?
off.
Does
Yeah,
that
but that's
hurt
just
them?
1
Does
week
that hurt-
off.
Yeah, but does that hurt
They get
their?
this week.
It's not a month off.
No, they're pretty banged up.
No, they're
Yeah, but
if they
is
were
that-
playing the Ravens, yeah, but not the Chargers.
Yeah.
Well, actually, who does the Chiefs have a week off, right?
Yeah,
So,
and then they get the that's right. The Chargers
They get the
They
worst.
pretty much got 2 weeks off.
Well, they
because-
get the reseed. So whoever the lowest ranking team left could be the Steelers, could be the
Steelers or the Chargers most likely.
Chargers. Yeah,
Oh God.
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
Right, you're right because I don't think the Steelers are going to beat the Ravens.
I want anyone but the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl
Me too.
at this point, but Tampa Bay preferably. I like Tampa Bay because I grew up in that
Anybody
area.
but the Chiefs?
They're going to make it that far.
Oh,
I don't care. I just don't want the Chiefs to win again.
yeah.
No.
It's ridiculous, man. Give other people a shot, you know?
Well, no shit.
You would say that if Florida had won their 5th straight national championship?
Oh, absolutely.
Or-
Absolutely. Yeah.
or if Brady and the Bucks won 3
No,
in a row.
I'd be rubbing it in everyone's face how fucking great the Florida Gators are. But, but yeah, I think that I don't watch enough NFL football as of right now. But, I mean, this weekend I start. So
I had a
I'll be up
great
to date
weekend.
on everything next week.
So we start at 4:30 on Saturday with the playoffs.
All right, let's do it,
So
man.
we got 2 games on Saturday, and then the rest are on Sunday.
And
Should be
then
exciting.
have one on Monday.
That's
Yes.
great.
Chargers, the Rams and Vikings.
Yeah.
Hey.
The Rams. Where'd they even come from, man?
Hey, everybody, listen up.
Sad.
What the fuck?
Oh, geez.
What the fuck?
Oh, I got more.
Cheeks, what the fuck, Cheeks? You got a what the fuck? You asked me earlier. You're like, are we gonna do what the fuck this week? And I was like,
know. And then I
fuck
just
yeah,
blew
we're
it.
gonna do what the fuck.
I just blew
Well,
it because
yeah.
I said I had a what the fuck. My what the fuck was them getting rid of the 4th-string quarterback, and for sure Jalen's going to be playing. That was my what the fuck, getting rid of the 4th string.
What the fuck?
I screwed
4th
that up.
string, yeah, okay. Anyone else got a good what the fuck?
Yeah, it's kind of in the same.
About
line.
Walker Kessler's girlfriend winning Miss America.
What the fuck?
War it down.
Was that the Auburn national championship for a hot chick?
And she's also an Auburn cheerleader.
Nice. All right. What the fuck? Hot mama from Alabama winning Miss USA.
Lead the league in passing. Lead the league. No, I'm talking about individuals. Lead
Okay.
the league in passing. Lead the league in receiving. Lead the league in sacks. And your team does not make the playoffs. How does that happen?
What the fuck,
The
Bengals?
Cincinnati Bengals. And by the way, I'll go for 1A. How Joe Burrow, they're saying, is not even in the MVP conversation with the stats he put up. I mean, I think it's 44, 45 touchdowns, almost 5,000 yards passing. And I don't know, just because of what his team does. That's like, it's the best players, not how your team performs. But we know that influences it.
And who have they played?
What?
You also have to take into account the teams that they're playing.
Whatever. I mean, it's NFL. That's all. It's
Well, they play pretty much the same schedule as the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns.
Yes.
yeah. So what the fuck, Joe Burrow and the Bengals? What the fuck?
It's going to piss me off
Yeah.
until next year.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening to Guys at the Bar Talking Sports another week. This was a great show. Thank you for joining us. If you would like to support the children's charities of the Midlands, check out our Facebook group and you'll see some links to that. Great charity. It's going to help out a lot of kids this year with the money that they raise. So thank you for joining another week at Guys at the Bar Talking
Sports.
See ya.